Yoseo, all my beautiful people. How are you doing today? And welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee, and you have found yourself at the alternate point of view, my channel. Welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you are dedicated and have subscribed, liked, and shared this channel. Just so you know, to help out my algorithm, I hope that you are liking and subscribing, as 91% of people who watch this channel are not subscribed. So help the channel out and like and subscribe. I really appreciate it so super much. So let's get into today's story. Today we are recapping day 20 of the Karen Read trial. And let me tell you, I have been saying that this trial has been a slow burn from the beginning, and it is a slow burn. But if you wait for those little tidbits and chunks of information that are there, like the little hidden Easter eggs that you look for in movies, well, this trial has it. So, all this time, right, I have been sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, Karen Read has been framed. But today, dun dun dun, there has been some new revelations. Okay, now, first of all, I'm going to say this. I am praying for John O'Keefe's family. I hope that everyone is, because John O'Keefe has been lost during this entire situation, this entire horrible, horrible matter. John O'Keefe died outside in the front yard of the Alberts home somehow, some way, whether it be that Karen Read hit him and left him out there in the cold, whether it be by accident or because she was angry, or if John O'Keefe slipped and fell and hit his head and died in the snow, I don't know, or whether it be that he went into the house and there was an altercation. I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened, and I'm afraid we'll never. I'm so sorry that we're never gonna know what happened to John O'Keefe, because of this huge circus that is happening right now before our very eyes of this trial. So I just want to say that I hope everyone is keeping John O'Keefe and his family and his niece and nephew, who already lost their parents and now have lost the very man that was taking care of them, to this terrible, awful incident that happened on January 29th in 2022. So let's not forget what this trial is actually about, and it is about John O'Keefe, not Karen Read, even though she is the one on trial. So I want to talk about what happened today in the trial, and where is the ever elusive Michael Proctor, who is the lead investigator. Now, the prosecution has still yet to call this man, who is the one who was questioning everyone, the Alberts and the McCabes. We already know they're related. They are obviously hiding something. What are they hiding? I don't know. If we recall, to give a quick recap, January 28th into the wee hours of the morning, January 29th, the Alberts and McCabes and John O'Keefe and Karen Read, along with a couple of other stragglers, all were kind of hanging out and chilling, drinking, getting together. The Alberts had a little after party at their house, and John and Karen were invited. Everyone was hanging out. The Alberts and the McCabes are related. They are very close knit with each other, obviously, because they're related. And all of the one-off friends that were there are very close knit with the Alberts and the McCabes. Now, John O'Keefe is a Boston police officer who is not necessarily related or anything in any way, but he's kind of close to these people as well, but not as close as some of these other friends are. Now, Karen is John O'Keefe's girlfriend, but she is definitely not in the clique. Okay. So, John O'Keefe apparently was found dead in the snow with a blunt force trauma injury to the back of his head, a large laceration, several other injuries on his body, his face, and there was blood all over his clothing. He was missing a shoe. His belt loop was undone. I'm not sure if that was done by the EMS or part of the incident. His There was bruising around his face. He also had a cocktail glass, which today was finally explained. Um, he was missing his hat. Also, I found it odd there was a blizzard, but no one was wearing heavy coats. But they are in Massachusetts, so they're used to this kind of weather. So John was wearing a pretty thin type of long sleeve hoodie with a t-shirt underneath and jeans and just some Nike tennis shoes. So he wasn't dressed for snowy weather, but I mean, I'm sitting in my cloffice and I'm wearing a hoodie right now because I'm cold. And I'm in Texas and it's super hot and humid here, but in my house it's cold. So, um, but they're used to that kind of weather up there. So I guess they don't dress for, blizzards like I would dress for a blizzard. I would be in a parka and snowsuit. So, but that's how they found John, and that's how he was dressed for the evening. So what was on the stand today were some more forensic scientists, analysts, of course, going over the evidence that was given to them, the partial pieces of taillight, again, matching those pieces together, uh, um, showing what pieces were matched together. Now, these pieces were supposedly found on the items of clothing that John O'Keefe was wearing. Uh, and remember, last Monday, actually, the pieces of clothing that John O'Keefe was wearing was bagged together in one bag, not separate bags. So I found that to be pretty odd how this evidence was collected. Remember, they picked up uh, blood-like substance out of the snow in red Solo cups and put in a stop and go bag, which I found to be pretty amateurish. That's not how you collect evidence. Again, I studied criminal justice with a concentration in forensics, and even your layperson would know. Hopefully, I would think you've watched enough CSI or Law and Crime or what have you to know that yeah, you don't put uh, blood-like substances in red Solo cups, and you don't put two evidentiary items inside uh, one bag. You separate the evidence, and also I'm you don't put it in a stop and go bag. Also, and you don't, I probably not everyone know this, but you don't use a leaf blower and shovels to move snow off of a crime scene area, just because you really should treat it like an archaeological scene, because you have to sift through the snow to ensure that you're getting every piece and minuscule little piece to be sure that you are um, grabbing every itty bitty teeny tiny piece of evidence, especially if you're looking for shards of glass, tiny pieces of tail light, that kind of thing, especially if you're thinking that he was hit by a vehicle. So, anyway, all of this time, okay, everyone has been saying that John O'Keefe was, um, hit by Karen's vehicle. She was missing a taillight. Everyone's been saying, now, not everyone, I'm sorry, the defense team has been saying that the taillight pieces were not found until after they impounded Karen's vehicle. And after looking at the taillight evidence from the forensics team, you could see the date marked on the evidence that Michael Proctor collected of the taillight pieces was like well after the accident occurred or the incident occurred, whatever you want to call it, which wasn't until 2/4. Some pieces weren't put in the evidence envelopes until 2/11. So it is questionable about these taillight pieces not being put into evidence envelopes until in February, and the incident happened in January. So that is kind of curious. Also, these evidence pieces of taillight were not given to forensics until 2023. So that's when they dated it, when they took it out of the evidence envelopes and inspected them and pieced them together. So those were in question. But today, um, an investigator who was with Michael Proctor got on the stand, and he was showing and talking about the taillight pieces and talking about Karen and John at the bar. They showed John's sweatshirt that he was wearing and his shirt. Also, please someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to know, and I'm just curious because I'm so big about cross contamination, and this is still to me because it is innocent until proven guilty, but also because I know I don't think they're ever going to go back and open this case back up. But even if you're opening evidence in a courtroom, yes, you do use gloves, but he never changed his gloves from opening and taking out the hoodie out of the evidence bag to taking out the t-shirt out of the evidence bag and taking out the shoe. Like, he never changed gloves. So for me, like, he's standing there with the same pair of gloves on, opening up each evidence bag and taking out items of evidence. And then he's holding his hands up close to his blazer. And I'm like, dude, you're totally cross contaminating these pieces of evidence that are still evidence. And are, if you're wearing gloves, then that means they're still pertinent to the investigation, and you're not changing the gloves out. So to me, it's already been cross contaminated because you bagged it together in the first place when they first took on the evidence, and then it was cross contaminated. I don't know. I just, all I'm thinking is cross contamination, cross contamination. So um I just am curious as to why they didn't change the gloves out in the courtroom before he handled each piece of evidence, because that's what you would do in a real life scenario, and it was a real life scenario. Um, so I want to play some pieces of things that I noticed during his testimony that really uh, kind of contradict what the defense team has been claiming all of this time. So, uh, the defense team has been claiming that the taillight was not broken and that the uh, Michael Proctor and the team that investigated this didn't find these supposed pieces of taillight until after Karen Reed's vehicle was impounded. Now, there was a video played in the trial today where you can clearly see Karen Reed has a taillight missing um, in her from her vehicle. And I just find it very strange that this is a thing. Like, it's actually I was like, her taillight is actually missing. I can see it. So uh I I was shocked that I hadn't noticed this sooner, but once the prosecution played this video, it was very noticeable. Um that her taillight was definitely missing. Um, so I want to show you guys the part of the video where her taillight is most definitely missing. Um, so you can see for yourself where her taillight is missing. And it has to be hard for John O'Keefe's family, because all this time now I've wondered, does John O'Keefe's family believe that Karen is guilty? Because they have been steadfast being at trial every day. So I'm going to share um, my screen with you and show you the part where this tail light is missing. And I just want you to see, because I'm shocked. Because I didn't believe it myself until I saw it. So
still shot presented identifies a missing, damaged rear right taillight, exposing the white light coming from the right side of that taillight.
here,
And if you could, using the laser pointer before you draw the very
he's going to laser point it.
about as far as that area of the fence. Now, earlier in that video, did you observe a fence vehicle coming close to or coming into contact with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And as far as Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, at least from this video, what if any damage did you observe to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
No damage.
And as far as the ground area around where Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle is parked,
So
specifically the rear of that vehicle, what if any red pieces or anything you observe on the ground around Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Nothing was observed.
So remember, all this time, there was the thought that her vehicle did run into his vehicle, okay? But it didn't, that when she ran into his vehicle, it didn't, no pieces you saw fall onto the snow, because it's white. It's a blizzard. So you didn't see any shards of taillight fall onto the ground. So that was very telling. And the reason why this video is important is because once you saw her vehicle in the garage where they took the pictures on Monday of her vehicle, you saw the whole taillight was missing. And now in this, you can see for sure in this video, there is missing taillight. So now I'm like, wait a minute. But when did she do that? Because Monday, when I was doing my live, I was questioning, like that, but it looks like she hit something white. It looks like she ran into a pole, or she ran into a wall, or, how long ago was it that she ran into something? Who knows when she hit something? So I don't know what she hit, but it wasn't John's vehicle. She may have tapped John's vehicle, but she didn't hit it hard enough to break her taillight. And John's vehicle is a dark color vehicle, and her taillight also didn't fall onto the snow. So her taillight was already broken. It's just a matter of when did it break. So I also want to show you guys what is very telling as well is that later on in the trial, they show video of Karen and John at the bar, and they are going to get into how many drinks, okay, that Karen had, and John. It's not just Karen. They're drinking. They're definitely drinking. But the thing is that all this time we have thought that she could have been drinking water. That's how the defense has been kind of spinning this. Okay. When in all actuality, that's not the case. So I don't know how the defense is going to work this when they do the cross-examination, but this is a lot of drinking. And it's snowing. So I don't know. But we're going to watch this video.
For what time was.
During video surveillance extraction, we verify the time and date on the system, and that is to show us how far behind in the past or in the future. Sometimes devices are time-stamped that's in the future. It hasn't happened yet in real time, but the video is stamped so. So what we do is prior to extracting video, we identify the difference in time between real time and video time. In this case, C.F. McCarthy's video was 12 minutes behind real time.
And
So this is John.
thank you. And Ms. Gilman, if you could play this to about 6 minutes and 40 minutes.
So you're going to see Karen enter. And they look happy.
Just pause there briefly, Ms. Gilman. As far as anyone else within the area of the bar, in the area, Mr. O'Keefe, come around, Mr. Roberts, who, anyone else you recognize in that area at this point?
I recognize the defendant walking in and interacting with the victim, Mr. John O'Keefe.
Ms. Gilman, if you could, within that same video 3, I would ask you to go to about 13 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm going to ask you to play from here to about 14 minutes and 45 seconds.
So I'm going to put this video on faster speed just to move it along so you can see. See, they don't dress for blizzard weather.
Okay.
See, there's her drink.
Now, from your review of this video, what, if anything, of significance do you observe in this part of the video?
This part of the video, I observed the defendant reaching over and retrieving a cylindrical tall cocktail glass from the bartender.
And again, given the understanding that the video is about 12 minutes off as far as the timestamp, the defendant entered about 8:51 p.m. and is receiving this drink about 8:58 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if you could, just going to play that too.
So the defense all this time is like she could be having water.
Now, Ms. Gilman, if you could go up to about 32 minutes even into the same video. Now I'm going to ask you to play that for the next 30 seconds or so, to about 32 minutes and 30 seconds.
It's a very claustrophobic bar, you guys. So John's drinking. It's so weird to see him.
And Sergeant, during that about 30 seconds or so, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant to receive at that point?
A cylindrical cocktail glass.
And so that would be the second drink, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's approximately 9:15, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could go forward to about 37 minutes into the same video.
So now we're on drink 2, supposedly.
You could play that for about the next minute or so, about 38 minutes.
She gets a shot. He mixes it for her. That's drink 3.
Sergeant, again, from that about 1 minute portion from that video, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant receive and do with any items?
She received the shot glass beverage and poured it into the tall cylindrical cocktail glass, and then Mr. John O'Keefe stirred it for her.
And so that would now be the third drink, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's about 9:20 p.m., is that correct?
That's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could direct you to the fourth video, video number 4. And ask you to go about 50 seconds into this video. And I'm going to ask you to play this, Ms. Gilman, from 50 seconds to about 1:30. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. So, Sergeant, from this particular video, what, if anything, is significance do you observe the defendant receiving during this time frame?
She receives another shot glass beverage and then places that liquid into her tall cocktail glass and stacks the second shot glass into the first shot glass into the first tall cylindrical cocktail glass she had previously received and consumed.
So this would now be the fourth drink, is that correct?
That is correct.
And per the video, that's about 9:33 p.m., is that correct?
That is correct.
And Ms. Gilman, within the same video, if I could ask you to go to about 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Ms. Gilman, if you could pause there for just a moment. I'm going to ask you to play this until about 27:40.
So that's 4 drinks. I used to be a bartender, but I can't remember how many drinks it is per hour. It takes so many hours to break down certain drinks to sober up. I can't remember. You have to take that to a test to get licensed in Texas. But she's at least at the legal limit.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. During that period, Sergeant, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant to receive during that time frame?
She received a tall cylindrical cocktail glass.
And in addition to that, what, if anything else, did she receive from the bartender during that time?
A shot glass size beverage.
And what, if anything, did she do with the shot glass in regard to the larger cylindrical glass?
It's placed inside the tall cylindrical cocktail glass.
So that would be drinks 5 and 6, is that correct?
That's correct.
And per the timestamp on the bar video, this is now about 9:57 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
Is it 5 and 6?
And Ms. Gilman, if I could direct you to video number 5.
So at this point, she's just drinking
And if I
straight
could ask you to go to
vodka.
about 3 minutes in. And ask you to play that till about 3:30.
Or gin or whatever. I don't know what she's drinking.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. And if I could ask you to go to about 10 minutes and 30 seconds in. And I would ask you to play that for about a minute to about 11:30 or so.
And what I haven't done is gone back to see how many drinks John has gotten. If he's getting 1 for 1 or what's happening. But he doesn't look like he's drinking liquor. So I'm not really sure. Oh, I think he took a shot right there. Because they all took shots. Except her. I think she put it in her drink.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman. So, Sergeant, sort of round of shots during this portion of the video, is that correct?
Yeah, sustained. You can ask it differently.
What, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant and or the group that she was with do in this portion of the video?
In this portion of the video, the 2 gentlemen to the right of the defendant consume a shot size beverage.
And as far as the shot glass that the defendant received, what, if anything, do you observe her to do with that?
I'll allow it. Strike that. Just what did you observe, not what she had.
What did you observe the defendant to do during that portion?
Prior to the shots being taken, a shot glass was poured into the cylindrical tall glass.
And again, so that would be drink number 7 at that point?
That would be drink number 6.
Now I'm confused. I don't know how many drinks she's had. Earlier he said 5 and 6.
So the
Now she's on
previous
6.
portion
Or
was
is it
a
7?
cylindrical drink and then a shot glass that was 5 and 6, is that correct?
Objection. I think that was the testimony. Back it differently.
As far as that drink during that portion.
She's looking
that
irritated.
drink number 6 or drink number 7? Objection.
Yeah, in that form, I'll sustain it.
At this point in time in the video, after watching what you watched, how many drinks has the defendant consumed at this point?
At this point, she's consumed or is in possession of
Objection.
I'll allow it.
6 drinks.
And this is at approximately 10:29 p.m., is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Ms. Gilman, if you could go to about 20 minutes and 30 seconds in. Actually, wait for the next 10 seconds.
Okay, so now at this point, they leave the bar and she takes the drink with her. I don't know what they do in Massachusetts, but I guess they're allowed to leave the bar with drinks. So I'm not really sure how that works in Massachusetts, but I guess they're allowed to do that there. So, but yeah, she leaves the bar with the drink. Then they go to the waterfall and they meet up with the Alberts and I don't know if the McCabes are there. I think some of the McCabes are there. They go to the waterfall. They meet up with the people there. And that is where the other glass comes into play, because the whole time at McCarthy's, I never see John have a glass drink other than a bottle of beer. He's drinking beer. So that's why I was curious, where did this mysterious glass come from with the straw? Because none of the forensic people ever said they did a test on the straw or the glass. They so they didn't know if it came from the bar or from Albert's house or anything like that. They didn't even know if it was John's, because I didn't see, no one ever said if they did any DNA testing on it or anything. So now we know that glass did come from the waterfall, and John carried it out. At least it's what it looks like anyway. It looks like John's carrying a glass out of the waterfall. So everything is kind of starting to fall into place, as if John didn't ever go into the house. So they ended the trial today on that note, basically, with showing the video of John leaving the waterfall, holding the glass, and that agent officer still on the stand. So he's going to still be finishing up with being direct examination from the prosecution, and then they'll have the cross-examination. But this is getting interesting now. Now, not having Michael Proctor on the stand still, but you do have the co-investigator, the co-lead investigator. What I did find interesting is that they don't have any, when they went to tow Karen Reed's vehicle, they didn't take any pictures of her vehicle before they took it. So again, no pictures of the missing taillight. They didn't take any pictures once they got it to the garage. They also moved it from that location to another location because Canton PD apparently was, I guess, a conflict of interest or what have you. So then also they interviewed Karen Reed at her parents' house. It was sort of like an informal chit chat, kind of trying to just get her recollection of the night, the last 24 hours. And they didn't record the conversation. They didn't make it like a formal conversation, but yet he could remember, quote unquote, what she said, could say, this is what she said. He actually quoted her saying statements. So I'm curious to know if he can remember what he had for breakfast last Wednesday, but yet he could quote her statements from the 29th or 30th of January, 2022. So I find it strange that they didn't record their conversation with Karen Reed. I find it strange they didn't take photos of her vehicle. And I do find it strange that you can see them putting the vehicle on the tow truck, and supposedly there was glass shards on the back of the bumper that didn't move. Mind you, now keep in mind also that the defense attorney did point out to the forensics cross-examination on Monday, wasn't this in a blizzard? It drove like 30, 45 minutes, several directions. So how could these glass shards just sit perfectly on top of the bumper? I mean, the only explanation I could have for that was, it was in a blizzard and it was freezing temperatures. So probably the glass shards froze to the bumper would be an explanation that I could think of. Otherwise, I can't think of a reason how those shards would stay on the vehicle other than they were frozen to the vehicle. But things are starting to kind of, you know, it's becoming plausible, if you could say, that she possibly could have hit him. Maybe not out of anger, as the prosecution is saying, but she possibly could have done so and not remembered. She did have a lot to drink. If she had the 6 to 7 drinks at the first location, how many drinks did she have at the second? And I do have to look up what her blood alcohol level was at the 6 something in the morning, because I do think they did do a BAC test on her. So I'm curious to know how drunk she was, and she may not have remembered. It's a possibility. So it could be accidental. However awful that is, it's a possibility. So the question is there. Now I'm beginning to wonder. Again, I'm not on either side of this. I don't have a dog in this fight, but it is plausible. Now we'll see what the defense does with this guy, and we'll see if they call Michael Proctor. I'm just curious. What do you guys think about this information? Like I said, this trial is a slow burn trial, but if you wait for the tidbits that come out, you will see that there is something to it. There's something there. Now, is it going to be for Karen Reed or against Karen Reed? I don't know. We can only wait to find out. So, let me know what you guys think about this trial. What do you think about, did she hit him? Did she not hit him? What are the McCabes and the Alberts hiding? What is wrong with this investigation besides, I don't know, everything? Let me know what you think. And again, keep the O'Keefe family in your prayers, please, because I'm telling you, unfortunately for John O'Keefe, I do believe he is getting lost in all of this rigmarole. So please make sure you keep them in your prayers, because they are having to sit there every day. And today it got really real. They showed some pictures that obviously we didn't see, and taking his clothes out like that, and like just seeing the video of him, his last parts of his life where he's just kind of just hanging out and having a good time with his friends. And that was it. That was his last night on earth. Is really sad. So, just think about his family and his niece and nephew that he was raising, and remember that that was a person. This is about a person who was alive and now he's not here. So I thank you all so much for watching my videos, tuning in to this channel, and liking and subscribing. I really appreciate it so much. And kamsahamnida.